Okay, welcome back. Got another tutorial. This one's a bit different from the usual CGI stuff. I haven't seen much of it. I used it for a project a long time ago. It was for this scene coming up. It's basically creating point clouds from footage, and then you have the ability to, move around it, which is quite cool. So I'm just using a stock shot from Artlist, and one thing I like to do is always just start the time code at 0. Just makes it a lot easier in cinema. So you can just render this out as a JPEG sequence, and obviously just make sure your frame rates are the same in cinema. Okay, so we're in cinema now. If you've used the motion tracker before, you can skip this part. If you haven't, I'll just walk you through it quickly. I always put this resampling up to 100. And then what's good to do is just play through the footage. It caches the footage out. If you don't do that in the beginning, then everything just takes longer. You can go to your preferences. I think it's memory, and at the bottom you can adjust how much memory you want to use for the motion tracker. Okay, so we've cached that out. You can see now, you can scroll through it. I'm going to use a lot of points because I want like a very dense point cloud. And you can just go ahead and auto track that. Okay, so that's finished. You can use an error threshold. I normally do this if it's going to be a scene with an object in. Put that to about 25%, 20%. It just means that it gets rid of the points that have errors. Okay, so we can just go ahead and solve that. I'm leaving all this stuff out. Obviously, if you're doing a proper solve with an object in there, you want to try and find out the sensor size and focal length and all that kind of thing. But we can just go ahead and run that solver. Okay, so that has solved. You can see the point stick with it. Now, I think it's just good practice, even if you aren't going to put something in the scene, just to make things easier when you're navigating. Create a position constraint, which basically just determines where your 0 point is. And then you can either use vectors or I found with this scene, a planar constraint seemed to work better. Let's just see if these, yeah. So we're going to make sure these are green. So now when let's put our work plane back on. Now you can see how the grid is lying. Again, if you want to track something in the object tree, you would spend more time here and make sure the sizes are correct. But it's pretty good for a basic track. I see that should be Z. So now when we select our cube, you can see that the axes are correct. Okay, now you will have to play around with the reconstruction settings. I would start with high quality. Now, depending on what kind of shot you have, you will have to adjust the minimum angle. That's the most, how do I explain it? The less parallax you have in your shot, the smaller this number has to be. It's going to take a long time to calculate, but I think in the end with this one, I put this up to 8. I made the patch size 10 and 3 iterations and a minimum angle of 1. Because we're not moving much, it's just a slow drift forward. If you were moving and you had a build, say you're moving left to right and you had a building in front and it created lots of parallax, then I think you can keep that down. So yeah, I would say before you run this, it can take a long time. And yeah, let's jump back in when we've generated a point cloud. Okay, that took quite a while. Let me just turn these off so you can see better. And now we have our point cloud. It's pretty cool. We can obviously fly around here. Now, I'm pretty sure they used to make all of them points, but now it's a polygon object. So to get this to render, there's a few different ways, but I find the easiest and the lightest is to use a scatter. So we use an object, drop the C point cloud in there, and we turn this to vertex. And there we go. Now we just turn this down a little bit. And let's turn it off. So we want to transfer the color from our point cloud to our RS matrix object. And I'm sure there's probably similar ways you can do it with Octane or whatever you're using. Right. So let's grab a shader effector. And under the parameter, we're going to turn this to fields color. And in the fields, we are going to drop our vertex color. And here we go. Then what you can do, if you want more control, say you want reflections on the spheres. Oh, we don't have any lights. See, at the moment they just small spheres. But if you take the material and you put in your user data, let me see if I can remember which one this is. Yeah. And then drop that. See, now we have, we can use reflections, and you can fine tune your material like that. All right, so now we've got essentially a cloner that we can manipulate however we want. And, you know, using all of our effectors. So that's, I'm not going to take you through all of that creatively. But, you know, we can do whatever we want here. So I'm just dropping in a linear field. And we get these cool effects we can do. Another thing I just wanted to say, let's turn that off. If you want to, we've got a lot of points here that I think the camera would go through, so we want to get rid of those. So you can just select your matrix and picker. And select the points you want, and then we can go and hide those. I missed one there. Okay, so that is basically the technique and you can have fun playing around with all the effectors, and you can fly your camera around independently of the motion track camera. What was I going to do? Just to show you how crazy things can get. Yeah, it's just a fun effect, and I think what I did for the little intro one, just duplicate this camera, take the protection tag off, and you would just find a point where you want to stop the motion camera. Just let that out the way. Put this on auto, so you can see the other camera going, and you just fly down however we want. So now there we go. Obviously smooth that out. But yeah, that's getting point clouds from footage in cinema and transferring the color using a shader, using the vector color tag inside of the shader fields. And don't forget to do this. This is important to change to make sure it's using the fields rather than an image or anything like that. Hope that's useful, gives you some ideas, and let me know if there's anything else you'd like a tutorial on. And thanks for watching.